I think when a country hasn't been in a war for a while, you gotta take what you can get. I mean, Canada, 1914, they must have been pretty desperate. Take me, for instance, 20 years old, a convicted liar and cheat. I'm on record as being the worst student RMC of that Royal Military College in Kingston, Ontario. I'm on record as being the worst student RMC ever had. I join up, they make me an officer, a lieutenant in the Mississauga Horse. All I can say is they must have been scraping the bottom of the barrel. We were off to fight the Hun, though hardly anyone had ever read about a battle, much less seen a Lewis gun. We were off to fight the Hun, and it looked like lots of fun. Somehow it didn't seem like war at all, at all, at all. Somehow it didn't seem like war at all. Yeah, it looked like it was going to be a great war. All my friends were really keen to join up. Not me. Royal Military College was enough for me. Now, the reason I went to RMC was,
Well, you could ride a horse.
I could ride a horse. And I was a good shot. I mean, I was a really good shot. I got these tremendous eyes, you see. And Royal Military College had an entrance exam, which was good, because my previous scholastic record wasn't all that great. In fact, when I talked to my principal and said I was going to RMC, he said, Bishop, you haven't got the brains. But I studied real hard, sat for the exam, and got in. Recruits will march at all times. They will not loiter, they will not window shop. Recruits will run at all times through the parade ground. Recruits will be soundly trounced every Friday night, whether they deserve it or not. I mean, I think these guys are nuts. Now, when I'm not happy, that is, when I'm not having a really good time, I do one of three things. I get sick, I get injured, or I get in trouble. My third year at RMC, I got in a lot of trouble. I had this friend, Townsend. One night we got a bottle of gin, and we stole a canoe. Well, we had arranged to meet these girls out on...
It was Cedar Island, Dead Man's Bay.
Out on Cedar Island, Dead Man's Bay. Of course, the canoe turns over. Now, it's early spring, so it's really cold. And somehow we make it back to land, but we're like this. Townsend says, Bish, I think I've got pneumonia. I have to go to the infirmary. And I said, well, whatever you do, you silly bugger, put on some dry clothes. Well, we couldn't let on what we were doing. I mean, we're absent without leave, in possession of alcohol, and we stole a canoe. What I didn't know was that the officer on duty witnessed the whole thing. Townsend goes to the infirmary, and when confronted with these charges, he admits everything. I didn't know that. I was rudely awakened from my bed in the middle of the night and hauled before old Adjutant Perrault. Sir, I've been in my bed all night, sir. I really don't know what you're talking about, sir. Bishop, come now. Not only do we have the testimony of the officer on duty, but we have the confession of your accomplice implicating you fully in this matter. Now, what's your story, Bishop? Well, I figure I'm in too deep to change my story now. Sir, I still maintain, Bishop, I'm going to say the worst thing I can say to a gentleman cadet. You are a liar, Bishop. I got 28 days restricted leave for that. It's like house arrest. But then, they caught me cheating on my final exams. Well, I turned the crib notes in with the exam paper. And that's when they said I was the worst student Royal Military College ever had. They weren't going to tell me what my punishment was until the fall. So I could stew about it all summer. But I knew expulsion with full honors. But Then the war broke out. And I signed up. They made me a cavalry officer. For me, it was the lesser of two evils. But my friends were really keen to go. They were. We were off to fight the Hun. We would shoot him with a gun. Our medals would shine like a saber in the sun. We were off to fight the Hun, and it looked like lots of fun. Somehow it didn't seem like war at all, at all, at all. Somehow it didn't seem like war at all. October 1st, 1914, the first contingent of the Canadian Expeditionary Force left for England. I wasn't with them. I was in the hospital thinking of Margaret. Dearest Margaret, I'm in the hospital with pneumonia. The doctor says I also have an allergy, but he doesn't know what I'm allergic to. Maybe it's horses. Maybe it's the army. Still, the hospital is nice, so I'm in fine spirits. Thinking of you constantly, I remain. March 1915. The 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th contingents of the Canadian Expeditionary Force left for England. I wasn't with them either. I was back in the hospital, thinking of Margaret. Dearest Margaret, please forgive my handwriting as I have a badly sprained wrist. Yesterday, my horse reared up in the parade ground and fell over backwards on top of me. I mean, it's awful. I could have been killed. My head was completely buried in the mud. Of course, my nose is broken and I can't see out of one eye. I have 2 cracked ribs and am badly bruised. But the doctor says I should be up and around by Monday. And the hospital is nice, so I'm in fine spirits. Thinking of you constantly, I remain. March 1915, the 7th contingent of the Canadian Expeditionary Force left for England, and I was with them. Now, this is aboard a cattle boat, the Caledonia, out of Montreal. This large crowd of people came down to the pier to see us off. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people. And for a while there, I thought the whole thing was worth doing. I mean, it's pretty impressive when you see several hundred people waving and cheering at you. When you're from a small town, the numbers get to you. I mean, you're looking at them and they're looking back at you and you say, boy, I must be doing something right. And then they start to play God Save the King. And everybody starts cheering and crying and waving. And then the boat pulls out. And they start to yell like you've never heard anybody yell before. And you feel good, you really do. And you're thinking, oh, please God, don't let the fighting be over before I can take part in it. On the edge of destiny, you must test your strength. Here! Oh, what the hell am I talking about? The good ship Caledonia quickly became the good ship Vomit. It was never meant to hold people. Even the horses didn't like it. Up, down, up, down. And they're siphoning brandy down our throats to try and keep us from puking our guts up on deck. What a joke. 2 inches. Every time someone would puke, which was every minute or so, everybody would point and laugh like it was the funniest thing they ever saw. Puke, 2 inches deep, swishing around the deck. And you couldn't sleep, even when it was calm. Because every time you closed your eyes, you had this nightmare about being torpedoed. Every time I closed my eyes, I could see this torpedo coming through the water, through the hull of the ship, and then, boom! Boom! And we were attacked by U-boats off the coast of Ireland. I was scared to death. All you could do was stand at the rail, watch the other ships get hit and go down. Bodies floating like driftwood in the water. But we made it through. The good ship Caledonia, latrine of the Atlantic, finally made it through to Portsmouth, full of dead horses and sick Canadians. We were off to fight the Hun, though hardly anyone had ever read about a battle, much less seen a Lewis gun. We were off to fight the Hun, and it looked like lots of fun. Somehow it didn't seem like war at all, at all, at all. Somehow it didn't seem like war at all. A couple of days later, they marched us into Shorncliffe Military Camp, right in the channel. At night, on a clear night, you could see the artillery flashes from France. I took it as a sign of better things to come. It wasn't. Dearest Margaret, Shorncliffe Military Camp is the worst yet. The cold wind brings two kinds of weather. Either it rains or it doesn't. When it rains, you get this mud like I've never seen before. I mean, your horse gets stuck in 1.5 feet of mud. You get off, you're in it knee deep. I mean, the rain comes in sheets. You're soaked to the skin, you're never ever dry. But then the rain stops and the ground dries up. What a relief, you say. But then the wind gets the dust going, and you've got dust storms for days. I mean, the sand feels like needles hitting you. A lot of the guys have this thing called bleeding from their eyes. I mean, I don't know which is worse, going blind or going crazy. I mean, the sand gets into your tent, your clothes, your food, your body orifices. A lot of the guys have this thing called desert madness. It's really serious. As I write this letter, the sand is drifting across the paper. Thinking of you constantly, I remain. Being buried alive in the mud. I was contemplating that prospect one day when a funny thing happened. I got my horse stuck in the middle of the parade ground. I mean, the horse is up to his fetlocks, I'm up to my knees. Mud, sweat, and horse turds from head to toe. When suddenly, out of the clouds, comes this little single-seater Scout, this little fighter plane. Pilot circled a couple of times. I guess he had lost his way and was coming down to ask for directions. He made one more turn, then landed on an open spot, like a dragonfly on a rock. The pilot jumps out. He's got this long sheepskin coat, helmet, goggles, warm and dry. He gets his directions, back in his machine, up in the air, with the mist blowing off of him. What a picture. I mean, no superior officer, no horse, no sand, no mud. What a beautiful picture. I don't know how long I stood there in the mud, watching him go, till he was long gone, out of sight. Now, this war was going on a lot longer than anybody expected. And a lot more people were getting killed than anybody expected, too. Now, I wasn't going to spend the rest of the war in the mud. And I sure as hell wasn't going to die in the mud. Thinking about
in the clear Canadian cold, where the winter air don't smell bad and the wind don't make you old, where the rain don't wash your heart out and the nights ain't filled with fear. Oh, those old familiar voices whisper in my ear. Oh, Canada, sing a song for me. Sing one for your lonely sons so far across the sea.
So, you do not like the cavalry, eh, laddie? What? I said you do not like the cavalry? You think it's bad now? Wait till you get to the front. There you got Germans shooting at you with machine guns. It's a bloody shooting gallery. They still think we're fighting the Boer War. Cavalry charges against machine guns. It's a bloody shooting gallery. With you in the middle of it, pal. Oh, well, this is awful. Something must be done. I was a casualty in training. Take a word of advice from me, Jimmy. The only way out is up. Up, up. Join the Royal Flying Corps. I did. I used to be in the cavalry. But I like the RFC. It's good, clean work. Of course, the machines barely stay in the air. And the life expectancy of the new lads is only about 11 days. But I like it. It's good, clean work. Well, just a minute. How do I get in the Royal Flying Corps? I mean, I'm Canadian. I'm cannon fodder. You have to practically own your own plane to get in the RFC. Au contraire, contraire. The upper classes are somewhat depressed by the current statistics, so they're not joining up with their usual alacrity. Now, anybody who wants to can get blown out of the sky, even Canadians. Well, just a minute. Well, what do I do? You go down. You see them at the War Office. Daft bunch of twits, but they're okay. Now you see them real eager, like you crave the excitement, any old rubbish. Now they're not gonna know what to ask you, because they don't know a bleeding thing about it. They'll just ask the first thing that comes into their heads, which isn't much. Then they'll tell you cannot be a pilot. You've got to be an observer. Well, what's an observer? Oh, he's the fellow that goes along for the ride, looks about. Oh, then you act real disappointed. Like your mom always wanted you to be a pilot. Then you get your transfer. Okay, I'm an observer. I'm the guy that goes along for the ride, looks about. How do I get to be a pilot? I don't know. Just sooner or later you get to be a pilot. Plenty of vacancies. Check the casualty list. Wait for a bad one. You've got to get in through the back door. Nobody gets to be a pilot right away, especially not friggin' Canadians. Do you ever trust your entire future to a drunken conversation in a bar? 2 days later, I went down to the War Office. Well, Bishop. So you wish to transfer to the Royal Flying Corps. Am I correct? Am I right? Yes, sir. I want to be a fighter pilot, sir. Oh, very well. Jolly good. Jolly good. It's what my mother always wanted, sir. It's what your mother always wanted. Well, the situation is this, Bishop. We need good men in the Royal Flying Corps, but they must possess the correct qualifications. Now, the War Office has yet to ascertain what those qualifications are to fly an aeroplane. So we must make certain that all candidates possess those qualifications should the War Office ever decide what those qualifications are. Do you understand, Bishop? Perfectly, sir. Oh, jolly good, jolly good. I thought as much. Now, shall we begin? Ready when you are, sir. Oh, jolly good, splendid, splendid. Shows keenness now. What should I ask him? Do you ski? Ski, sir? Yes, ski. Well, here's an Englishman asking a Canadian if he skied. If the Canadian says no, it might be rather suspicious. Ski, sir? Yes, sir. Never skied a day in my life. Oh, well done. I thought as much. Now, good Lord, what should I do? Do you ride a horse? I'm an officer in the cavalry, sir. Doesn't necessarily follow. No. But let's put down that you do ride. How about sports? You know, run, jump, throw the ball, play the game, that sort of thing. Sports, sir? All sports. Oh, I thought as much. Oh, Bishop, I'm very impressed. Does that mean I get to be a fighter pilot, sir? Who knows? All full up with fighter pilots at the moment. Takes 6 months, a year to get in. Sorry about that, old man. Nothing I can do about it. I see, sir. However, we have an immediate need for observers. You know, the fellow who goes along for the ride. Looks about, I suppose. What do you say, Bishop? Well, I wanted to be a pilot. I couldn't. So in the fall of 1915, I joined the 21 Squadron as an observer. See, that's what they were using the machines for in those days. Direct artillery fire, monitor troop movements. And I was a good photographer, I really was. I got these tremendous eyes, remember? But to fly. I mean, you're in this old Farnham trainer. Sounds like a tractor. It coughs, wheezes, chugs its way up to 1,000 feet. You got a motor that can barely get you off the ground, but you're in the air. You're not on the ground. You're above everything. I mean, it was a different world up there. And it was a different war, too. And a different kind of man fighting that war. And practically, I was going to be one. And from where I stood, it looked pretty darn good.
Can you be a bit more specific, please?
Certainly. I see 2 planes in the air.
A fight that's fair and square?
With dips and loops and rolls that would scare you.
I'm scared already.
We'll force the German down.
And arrest him to the ground.
A patriotic lad from Bavaria.
Bravo!
He'll surrender willingly.
And salute our chivalry.
For this war was none of our invention.
Damn right about that.
And before its prison camp and a bed that's cold and damp, we'll have a little celebration. Oh, we'll toast our youth on champagne and vermouth. For all of us know what it's like to fly. Oh, the fortunes of war can't erase esprit de corps. And we'll all of us be friends till we die.
Can you go on a bit, please?
I shall. Well, we'll drink the night away.
When the Bosch is led away,
We'll load him down with cigarettes and wine.
of course we will.
We'll drink a final toast goodbye, but for the grace of God go I. And we'll vow that we'll be friends.
Cheers, bing!
Another time. Oh, we'll toast our youth on champagne and vermouth. For all of us know what it's like to fly. Oh, the fortunes of war can't erase esprit de corps. And we'll all of us be friends till we die. You want chivalry? You want gallantry? You want nice guys? Well, that's your flyer. On January 1st, 1916, I crossed the channel as a flyer. Well, as an observer, anyway. And that's when I learned that the 21 Squadron was known as the Suicide Squadron. It was a grim situation, but I didn't know how grim it could be till I saw the RE-7, the Reconnaissance Experimental Number 7, our new plane. To look at it, all you saw was a bundle of wires and cables with 1,000 pounds of equipment hanging underneath, 4 machine guns, a 500-pound bomb, for God's sake. Roger Neville, that's my pilot, he and I were ordered into the thing to take it up. course, the darn thing doesn't get off the ground. Anybody could see that. We thought, fine, good riddance. But no, the officers go into a huddle. Well, sir, what do you think the problem is? I don't know. Maybe we should take the bomb off. That's a splendid idea. Let's take the bomb off. Take the bomb off.
Take the bomb off.
Take the bomb off. We take the bomb off. This time it just kind of flops down the runway like a wounded duck. It was a pig. We were scared stiff of it. They put us on active duty as bombers. They gave us 2 bombs apiece, told us to fly over Hunland and drop them on somebody. But to compensate for the weight of the bombs, they took our machine gun away. Dearest Margaret, we're dropping bombs on the enemy from unarmed machines. I mean, it's hard to keep your confidence in a war if you don't have a gun. Somehow, we make it safely back in one piece. Then all the guys start laughing and joking and inspecting the airplane for shrapnel damage. Everybody's so thankful not to be dead. I go back to the barracks and lie down. This terrible loneliness comes over me. It's like waiting for the firing squad. You just want to cry. I mean, you're so frightened and so alone. I think everybody who isn't dead thinks these things. Thinking of you constantly, I remain.
Nobody shoots no one in Canada. At least nobody they don't know. Nobody shoots no one in Canada. No, that last battle was a long, long time ago. Nobody picks no fights in Canada. Not with nobody they ain't met. Nobody starts no wars in Canada. Folks tend to work for what they get. And take me under the big blue sky, where the deer and the black bear play. May not be heaven, but heaven knows we try. Wish I was in Canada today.
Well, at this point, it didn't take long before the accident started happening. You know, it's spooky, but I think the fact that I was injury prone probably saved my life. Roger makes this terrible landing, and I smashed my knee against a metal brace inside the plane. I mean, the pain was awful. I got 3 weeks leave in London, not a minute too soon. On the boat back to England, we got into the champagne and the cognac a little heavy. And by the time we arrived, we were pretty well tight. Then this game developed to see who would be the first to set foot on English soil. Well, I'm leading the charge down the gangplank when I stumble and fall, and everybody falls on top of me, right on my wounded leg. Oh, the pain was excruciating. But I'll be damned if I was going to spend the rest of my leave in the hospital. So I just started drinking down the brandy till it felt pretty well numb. But then, about the last day of my leave, I thought, you know what, maybe I better get somebody to look at this. Well, the doctor said I had a cracked kneecap, which meant I would be in the hospital for 2 weeks. And then he told me I had this badly strained heart, which meant I'd be in the hospital indefinitely. As far as I was concerned, I was out of the war. Hospital's nice. Nobody shoots at you. Nobody drops things on you. I thought it was a great place to spend the rest of the war. I went to sleep for 3 days. I had this nightmare, this terrible dream. I was standing in the middle of the lobby of the Grand Hotel in London. The band is playing military music. The lobby is full of officers, German and English, and they're dancing together, and their medals jingle like sleigh bells in the snow. Oh, the sound is deafening. I gotta get out of there. I turn to run, but my knee collapses and I fall down. I get up, get kicked in the stomach by an English boot. I turn around and get kicked in the rear by a Prussian boot. Oh, I turned around and they'd all formed a chorus line, like the Follies, and they're coming at me, kicking. 100 boots kick me high into the air over and over, and I'm yelling, please, somebody help me, they're trying to kill me! My goodness, Bishop, you'll never get any rest screaming at the top of your lungs like that. In front of me was a face I'd never seen before. Very old, female, with long white hair pulled back tightly in a bun, exposing the largest ears I'd ever seen. Would you be Will Bishop, the son of Will Bishop of Owen Sound, Canada? Well, of course you would. The resemblance is quite startling. Your father was a loyal supporter of a very dear friend of mine, Sir Wilfrid Laurier, and it is that context that I met your father in Ottawa. A gaping mouth is most impolite, Bishop. No, I am not clairvoyant. I am Lady St. Helier, poetess, reform alderman, friend of Churchill, and the woman who will save your life. Now, quite against your own wishes, you will be discharged from this wretched hospital in 2 weeks' time. Promptly at 3 o'clock that afternoon, you will present yourself before my door at Portland Place, dressed for tea and in a positive state of mind. Please be punctual, Bishop. Good day. Well, the old girl must have known something I didn't, because 2 weeks later, there I was in front of her door at Portland Place, in my best uniform, shining my shoes on my trousers. Oh, hi.
Madam, the colonial is here.
Thank you, Cedric. Please send him in.
Get in.
Very punctual, Bishop. Please sit down. I have written a poem in your honor. I can but trust that your rustic mind will appreciate its significance. Cedric. You're a typical Canadian, you're modesty itself, and you really wouldn't want her to flee. But you're just about to go the way of the buffalo. You'd do well to take this good advice from me. I'm awfully sick and tired of being constantly required to stand by and watch Canadians make the best of it. The colonial mentality defies all rationality. You seem to go to lengths to make a mess of it. So, Bishop, grow up. Before I throw up, your worst enemy is yourself, as you well know. Before you're dead out, get the lead out and seize what little life still lies before you. Do you really expect empire to settle back, retire, and say, colonials, go on your merry way? I'm awfully tired of your whining and your infantile maligning. Your weakness simply won't be whined away. So don't be so naive and take that heart off your sleeve. For a fool and his wife will soon be parted. War's a fact of life today, it'll not be wished away. Forget that fact or you'll be dead before you've started. So, Bishop, grow up. Before I throw up, your worst enemy is yourself, as you well know. Before you're dead out, get the lead out. You have your own naivete to overthrow. Thank you, Cedric. Bishop, I'm only going to say this once. You are no longer merely a short Canadian with poor service record and bad manners. You will become the pilot that you wish to be, and we're lamentably content to settle for less. Now, this will take time, for you must restore the health that you have so seriously undermined. To that end, you will become a lodger here at Portland Place. The top of the stairs, 3rd floor, 7th door on the left. Do you understand me, Bishop? Yes. Thank you. Good day. Be kind to Mr. Bishop, Cedric, and ignore his bad manners. For cultivation demands a price, the loss of a certain vitality. Beneath that rude colonial exterior, there beats a power that you will never know. Properly harnessed, that power will win wars for you. Churchill knows it, and I know it too. Good day, Mr. Bishop. Well, one or two Canadians who might take offense at that, not me. Living at Portland Place, I found out some things right away. For example, life goes a lot smoother when you've got influence. Take this pilot thing, for example. Lady St. Helier gets on the phone to Winston Churchill himself. The next day, I'm back at the War Office. The atmosphere is much different. Well, Bishop, good to see you. Well, Bishop, your mother's wish is finally going to come true. Oh, really, sir? Yes, you're going to be a pilot. No problem. Pas de problème. Medical examination in 2 days' time, then report for training. Medical examination? What about my bad heart? What about the fact that 2 weeks ago I was on the verge of medical discharge? Bishop, strip to the waist. Good. Hold your tongue and say 99. 99. Oh, that's good. Cough twice. Oh, that's good too. Turn around 10 times. 8, 9, 10. Attention. Still on your feet, Bishop. You're fit as a fiddle and ready to fly. I'll never forget my first solo flight. Scared. Sitting there at the controls all by yourself, trying to remember what they're for. Everybody stopped doing what they're doing to watch. You also know that there's an ambulance parked across the field with its engine running. You know why. You're sitting at the controls trying to remember what they're all for.
Petrol off.
Off.
Switch on.
Suck in.
Contact.
Contact. Prophet's giving a quick turn over and an engine starts with a roar. Coughs a few times, then starts hitting on all cylinders. You give the signal for him to take away the chocks. When you're bouncing across the field under your own power. Then you turn her up into the wind. Rudder. Elevator. Aileron. Heart. Kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. I open the throttle all the way, and we're up. Easy now, easy, easy. Once I was in the air, I felt great. In fact, I felt like a king. Oh, what a feeling. Now, mind you, I'm not fooling around. I'm just flying nice and straight, climbing steadily. Wow, what a view. Feels great up here. I've got to make a turn. I make a gentle turn, skidding like crazy, but I don't care. I do a steeper turn. Oh, too much. Oh, come back up. Oh, but all in all, I'm having a hell of a time up there until I remember. I gotta land. What do I do now? You keep your head. That's what you do now. I pull back on the throttle. Too much. I put the nose down into a dive. Oh, too steep. Up. Down. Up. Down in a series of steps. I work my way down to the earth. I execute everything you have to do to make a perfect landing. Only I'm 40 feet above the ground. I put the nose down. Execute another perfect landing, only this time I'm 8 feet above the ground. At this point, Humpty just takes things into her own hands and just pancakes to the ground. First solo flight, greatest day in a man's life. Gonna fly fly so high like a bird in the sky. The wind in my hair, sunburned in my eyes. Flying Canadian, machine gun in my hand. First con sees the first ton to die. Flying, what a way to fight a war. What have we been waiting for? Flying Canadian, machine gun in my hand. First con sees the first ton to die. March 25th, 1915. Four Newport scouts in diamond formation climbed to 9,000 feet, crossing the line somewhere between Arras and Saint-Léger. Our patrol as they crisscrossed the line, noting Heine's position and troop movements. I'm last in the patrol. Tough place to be, because if you lag too far behind, the enemy's waiting. We started out, it was cloudy. Then it cleared up. We flew for about 30 minutes, didn't see anything. Just miles and miles and nothing. Suddenly, I see 4 specks above and behind us. Perfect place for an enemy attack. I watch the specks get larger and larger. Oh, I can see the crosses. Huns. It's hard to believe that they're here and real and hostile. Jack Scott, our leader, hasn't seen them. Or at least he wants them to think he hasn't seen them. We just keep flying steadily. They're getting closer and closer. We keep flying straight. Getting closer and closer. They're 200 yards behind us. Suddenly, Jack Scott tears off in a climbing left turn to get above and behind him. We follow him. I'm slower than the rest, and I end up about 40 yards behind. Right in front of me is this dogfight happening right before my very eyes. I mean, mass pandemonium. Planes going this way and that. Gunfire. Suddenly, Jack Scott swoops below me with an albatross on his tail, raking his wings and fuselage with gunfire. I just sit there, frozen, not knowing what to do. My whole body's shaking. But then I throw the stick forward and dive on the Hun. I keep him in my sights until he completely fills the lens. What a feeling as he flips over on his back and falls out of control. I dive on the Hun. My engine full on. Boy, the wires on my machine are screaming. Newports have been known to have their wings fall off at 150 miles an hour. We must be doing 180, but I just don't care. Fire after tumbling Hun. Suddenly it crashes into the earth and explodes in flames. Kawoosh! I pull back on the stick, yelling, I win, I win, I win! Oh, jeez, my engine quit. I find a smooth spot. Put her down. I crawl out into what seems to be a shell hole. I took my very light pistol with me. I don't really know what I was going to do with it. Well, there, my son. You're just in time for a cup of tea. Oh, you speak English. Hey, listen, where are we? You're at the bottom of Signal Hill in downtown St. John's. Oh, get down there. Laddie, the Germans are just right over there. Oh, Carl, that was a nice bit of flying you did right there, my son. You're 100 yards our side of the line. Hey, listen, could you do me a favor? Could you help me get the plane up again? Oh, no, my son, no. You'll have to spend the night in the bridal suite here at the Avalon Hotel. Spent the night in a trench. 6 inches of water. Oh, the Tommies seemed to be able to sleep, but I sure couldn't. Next morning, first light, I crawled out to check on my plane. Miraculously, it hadn't been hit. That's the first look I got at no man's land. God, it was awful. Hardly a tree left standing. And the smell. Oh, it was hard to believe you were still on Earth. I saw these Tommies lying in a ditch over here. Hey guys, could you help me with my... Oh my God. Oh. The bloody earth is littered with the fighters and the quitters. Oh, what could be more bitter than nameless death below? See the trenches long and winding, see the battle slowly grinding. Don't you wonder how good men could live so low? Up above the sun is burning, up above the clouds are turning. You can hear those soldiers yearning. Oh, if only I could fly. In the burning sun I'll fight you. In the burning sun I'll fight you. Oh, let us dance together in the sky. In the sky. In the sky. Just you and I up there together, who knows why? One the hunter, one the hunted, life to live, a death confronted. Oh, let us dance together in the sky. And for you the bell is ringing, and for you my bullet's stinging. My Lewis gun is singing, oh my friend, it's you or I. And I'll watch your last returning to the earth, the fire is burning. Look up and you will see me wave goodbye. In the sky, in the sky. Just you and I up there together, who knows why? One the hunter, one the hunted, a life to live, a death confronted. Oh, let us dance together in the sky. Survival. That's the important thing. And the only way to learn survival is to survive. Success depends on accuracy and surprise. How you get into the fight, how well you shoot, and how good you fly, in that order. I can't fly worth a damn compared to somebody like Ball or Barker. If I get a kill, it's usually in the first few seconds. You gotta be good enough to get him with the first few bursts. So practice your shooting every chance you get. After patrols, between patrols, on your day off. If I got a clear shot at a guy, he's dead. You ever heard of flamers? It's when you bounce a machine and it just explodes in flames. Now, I don't mean to sound bloodthirsty or anything, but when that happens, it's very satisfying. But it's almost always just pure luck. I mean, you hit a gas line, something like that. You want the plane to go down every time. You aim for one thing. The man. I always go for the man. And another thing. You gotta take your fun where you can find it.
Mademoiselle from Armentières, parlez-vous? Mademoiselle from Armentières, parlez-vous? Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames et messieurs, Charlie's Bar proudly presents the lovely Hélène.
Johnny was a Christian. He was humble and humane. His conscience was clear and his soul without a stain.
He was contemplating heaven when
The wings fell off his plane.
and he never got out alive.
No, he didn't survive. George was patriotic. His country he adored. He was the first to volunteer when his land took up the sword.
And half a dozen medals were,
His posthumous reward.
and he never got out alive.
No, he didn't survive.
So when you fight, stay as calm as the ocean,
And watch what's going on behind your shoulder. Remember, war is not a place for deep emotion. And maybe you'll get a little older. Come into the fight with an advantage. Height, speed, surprise. Come at him from out of the sun. He'll never see you. Drop down behind him in his blind spot. That way you can shoot him without too much risk to yourself. Patrols generally don't put that much behind. So sneak up on the last man. He'll never know what hit him. You'll get out in the confusion. If it's one-on-one, you come at the bugger, guns blazing. He chickens out. You catch him as he comes across your sights. You both turn the same way. You're dead. It's tricky. You gotta keep your nerve. Jeffrey made a virtue out of cowardice and fear. He was the first to go on sick leave and the last to volunteer.
he was running from the fight when,
The attack came from the rear. Oh,
and he never got out alive.
no, he didn't survive. The other thing is your mental attitude. It's not like the infantry, where a bunch of guys sit around, work themselves up into a screaming rage, and then tear off over the top, yelling and waving their bayonets. No, it's not like that. You have to stay calm and cold, because you're part of a machine, and you and the machine need to work together to bring the other fella down. Gets to where you don't feel anything after a while, just before you start firing. And then that old dry throat, heart-thumping thrill comes back. It's a great feeling. Jimmy hated Germans with a passion cold and deep. He cursed them when he saw them. He cursed them in his sleep
He was cursing when his plane went down,
and landed in a heap.
and he never got out alive.
No, he didn't survive.
So when you fight, stay as calm as the ocean,
And watch what's going on behind your shoulder. Remember, war's not a place for deep emotion. And maybe you'll get a little older. Bloody April. We lost just about everybody I started with. Knowles, Hall, Williams, Chapman, Townsend, Stedman, shot down the day he joined the unit. You see, the Huns have better machines than we do. And some of their pilots are very, very good. But practice makes perfect. If you get a chance to practice and stay alive. And it gets easier and easier because hardly anyone has the same amount of experience as you. Dearest Margaret, it's the merry month of May, and today I sent another merry Hun to his merry death. I don't know if you'd appreciate this bloodthirsty streak that's come over me the past months. How I hate the Hun. He's killed so many of my friends. Now I enjoy killing him too. I go up as often as I can, even on my day off. My score keeps getting higher and higher because I like it. Yesterday I had a narrow escape. Bullet came through the windshield. Creased my helmet. But a miss is as good as a mile. And if I'm for it, then I'm for it. But I do not believe I'm for it. My superiors are pleased. Not only have I been made captain, but they're recommending me for the Military Cross. Thinking of you constantly, I remain. You may think you've something special that'll get you through this war, but the odds aren't in your favor. That's a fact you can't ignore.
The chances are the man will come knocking at your door,
and you'll never get out alive. You won't survive.
So when you fight, stay as calm as the ocean,
and watch what's going on behind your shoulder. Remember, war's not a place for deep emotion. And maybe you'll get a little older. Albert Ball, Britain's highest scoring pilot, stood before me. Black eyes gleamed at me. Very pale, very intense. Back home, we'd have said he had eyes like two piss holes in the snow. But that's not romantic. And Albert Ball was romantic. Jeez, if anybody was. Bishop, I have this absolutely ripping idea. Now I want you to try and picture this. Two pilots, compatriots in glory, cross the line in the dim early dawn. It's dark, slight fog. They fly straight to the German aerodrome at Douai, ghosts in the night. Unsuspecting, the Hun lies cozily in his lair. The sentries are sleeping. Perhaps even the Baron von Richthofen is there, sleeping, dreaming of eagles and Wiener Schnitzel. It is the moment of silence, just before dawn. Suddenly, he's awakened by the sound of machine gun fire. He rushes to his window to see 4, maybe 5 of his best machines up in flames. He watches as the frantic pilots, one by one, try to take off and get shot down. Bishop, these two pilots deal a devastating blow. You and I are these two unknown pilots, Bishop. Well, it's a good plan. I like it. How do we get out? Get out? Yes, escape. Bishop, I don't think you quite get the picture. This is an heroic exploit. Getting out has nothing to do with it. Oh. Well, it's a good plan. A couple of holes I'd like to see filled. I'd like to think about it. All right, Bishop, you think about it. But remember this, compatriots in glory. Quite a fellow.
The dying of Albert Ball.
He was only 18 when he downed his first machine, and any chance of living through this war was small. He's 19 when I met him, and I never will forget him, a pilot by the name of Albert Ball. No matter what the odds, he left his fate up to the gods, laughing as the bullets brushed his skin. Like a medieval knight, he would charge into the fight and trust that one more time his pluck would let him win. Yes, he courted the Reaper, like the woman of his dreams, and the Reaper smiled each time he came to call. But the British like their heroes cold and dead, or so it seems. And their hero in the sky was Albert Ball. But long after the fight, late into the night, dark thoughts as black as night would fill his brain. For bloodstains never fade, and there are debts to be repaid for the souls of all those men who died in vain. And when the night was dark and deep, and the men lay fast asleep, an eerie sound would filter through the night. It was a violin, its sound as soft as skin. Someone was playing in the dim moonlight. There he stood, dark and thin, and on his violin he played a song that spoke of loneliness and pain. It mourned his victories, it mourned dead enemies and friends whom he would never see again. Yes, he courted the reaper, like the woman of his dreams, and the reaper smiled each time he came to call. But the British, like their heroes, cold and dead, or so it seems. Their hero in the sky was Albert Ball. It's an ironic twist of fate that brings a hero to the gate, and Ball was no exception to the rule. Fate throws out a spark, in a way as if to mark the fine line between a hero and a fool. Every time he crossed the line, Albert Ball would check the time on an old church clock, reminding him of home. The Huns came to know the man who flew so low on his way back to the aerodrome. It was the 6th of May. He'd done bloody well that day. For the 44th time, he'd won the game. He flew low to check the tower. A hail of bullets from the tower, and Albert Ball lay dying in the flames. But through his clouded eyes, maybe he realized this was the moment he'd been waiting for. For the moment that he died, he was a hero bona fide. There are to be no living heroes in this war. For when a country goes insane, obsessed with blood and pain, just to be alive is something of a sin. The war's not satisfied till all the best have died, and the devil take the man who saves his skin. But sometimes, late at night, when the moon is cold and bright, I sometimes think I hear that violin. Death is waiting just outside, and my eyes are open wide as I lie and wait for morning to begin. For I'm courting the reaper, like the woman of my dreams, and the reaper smiles each time I come to call. But the British, like their heroes, cold and dead, or so it seems. And my name will take the place of Albert Ball.
Look at the names on the statues everywhere you go. Someone was killed a long time ago. I remember the faces, I remember the time. Those were the names of friends of mine. The statues are old now and they're fading fast. Something big must have happened way in the past. Those names are so faded you can hardly see, but the faces are always young to me. Friends ain't supposed to die until they're old, and friends ain't supposed to die in pain. No one should die alone when he's 21,
And living shouldn't make you feel ashamed.
You can't believe how young we were back then. for sure we'll never be that young again. We were daring young men with hearts of gold, and most of us never got old.
Wakey, wakey, Bishop.
Cedric, what's the idea of waking me up in the middle of the night?
Well, it's bloody well 11 o'clock, and Madam St. Helier's got a bone to pick with you.
All right, I'll be right down. Bishop, please sit down. I have a bone to pick with you. To wit, you were not at a party that I personally arranged, at which you were to meet Bonar Law, Chancellor of the Exchequer. Now, what is your excuse, Bishop? Oh, look, Granny, and I thank you not to call me Granny. The familiarity upsets my stomach. Well, look, I mean, that was the fourth darn formal dinner this week. I want to have some fun. Bishop, I'm only going to say this once. It is not for you to be interested, amused, or entertained. You are no longer a rather short colonial with a poor service record and bad manners. You have become a figurehead, a dignitary. You will cease from swearing, spitting, public drunkenness, and, I say this with emphasis, you will honor your commitments to your betters. Need I say more? No. I'll be there, Granny. And Bishop, I had occasion to pass by the upstairs bathroom. I took the opportunity to inspect your toilet kit. There was what I saw what could only be described as mold growing on your toothbrush. And your aftershave smells like cat urine. I think the implications are clear. Cedric, a long road lies before us. Empire must rely for her defenses on an assemblage of Canadians, Australians, and now Americans.
Oh, no.
Exactly. Our very way of life is in peril. Dearest Margaret, I don't think I can get through the evening. In the next room is Princess Marie Louise, and 4 or 5 lords and ladies I can't remember. I had a little bit too much champagne at supper tonight, and I told the princess a lot of lies. Problem is, I can't remember what lies I told. And I'm afraid if I go back in there, I'll contradict myself and look like an idiot. Being rich, you've got a lot more class than I do. They'd like you. Maybe we should get married. Thinking of you constantly, I remain.
Oh, when you steal a girl from an English earl who wants to go back home, just a Canadian boy, England's pride and joy, who wants to go back home. You may be a king on England's grounds, but when you get back to your old hometown, they'll find ways to shoot you down. Who wants to go back home?
I woke up 3 o'clock in the morning. Jesus, that's scary. Very tense, you know. Albert Ball said you couldn't do it with just one guy. And Albert Ball was a maniac. But I figure it's no different than what we do every day. At least I don't think so. Trouble is, nobody's ever attacked a German aerodrome single-handedly. So it's chancy, you know what I mean? I put on my flying suit over my pajamas. I grab a cup of tea and out I go. It's raining. Lousy weather for it, but what are you gonna do? Walter Bourne, my mechanic, is waiting for me with the engine running. Sir, bloody stupid idea if you ask me, sir. I'd put thumbs down on the whole thing and go back to bed, sir, if I were you. Thanks a lot, Walter. It's very encouraging. But it's pissing rain, sir. It's a pity to die in the pissing rain. I can see it all now, before my very eyes. First, Albert Ball snuffs it. Then Captain Bishop snuffs it. Why don't you take my advice, sir, and go back to bed like a good lad? Why don't you shut up, Walter? Ready? Ready, sir. No good. It's lonely up here. It's off, pale gray light, cold, lonely as hell. Oh, my stomach. Oh. Nerves? Nah. Forgot to eat breakfast. There's something else I gotta put up with. I climb to just inside the clouds. So I cross the line. Oh, no trouble? Good. Everybody's sleeping. Yeah, let's try and find that aerodrome. It's gotta be around here somewhere. Oh. Suddenly I see the sheds at the aerodrome, ahead and to the left. Trouble is, I'm a little far behind the line and I'm not exactly sure where I am. But it's either that or go home. Oh, my stomach. Oh, why didn't I eat breakfast? And why didn't I change out of my pajamas? Well, that would be great if I'm taken prisoner. Very dignified. I spend the rest of the war in my pajamas. I come across the field, about 300 feet. Oh, there's lots of planes down there, lots and lots of planes. I mean, there's 6 scouts, a 2-seater. I hope that 2-seater doesn't come up for me. I'll have a hell of a time getting him from the rear. That's a terrible time to think about it now. I take my first run. I don't know how many went down. I don't know how many stayed down. I shot up a bunch of their planes, too. Forgot about the machine guns guarding the airfield. They're piercing the canvas on my plane. Just as long as they don't hit a wire, I have to stay close so I can pick them off as they come up. Oh, someone's taking off now. I get down on his tail. He does this weird somersault and just flips over and crashes into the end of the field. I pull up and around in time to see another one taxiing out. I come down. My tracers go wide. But he's so frightened, he crashes into the trees at the end of the field. I pull up, feeling great. I'm not afraid. I don't feel anything. Just ready to fight. Come on, you bastards, come on! Oh, the next one's closing on me. I barely have time to put my last drum of ammunition in the machine gun. I come at him, guns blazing. You know, the old chicken game. I use up all my ammunition. I miss him, but he doesn't want to fight. Probably thinks I'm crazy. I gotta get out of here. I mean, they will have called all the aerodromes in the area. There'll be hundreds of planes before you know it. I dive and climb and head for the line. Oh, all alone again. Oh, all right. Am I going the right way? Oh, sharp pains. Oh, was I shot? Oh, no blood. Good. I wasn't shot. Oh, I think I'm gonna pass out. Oh, don't pass out. Don't pass out. I look up, and there, 1,000 feet above me, are 6 Albatross scouts. And me, with no ammunition. I fly underneath them, trying to keep up. I fly for about a mile, just keeping up. But I gotta get out of here. I mean, they're faster than me. If they see me, they got me. I dive for the line. Oh, I can feel the bullets slamming into my back, my shoulders, my legs, They didn't see me. I'm all right. Oh, feels good. Oh, Now all I have to do is land. The greatest fight of my life. Everybody made a very big deal out of it. But I just kept fighting all summer. By the middle of August, I had 43, one less than Albert Ball. That's when the generals and colonels started treating me different. Well, Bishop, we've got lots of medals for you. Lots and lots of medals. You'll receive your medals. Then you'll go on extended Canada leave, and you won't fight again. Excuse me, sir, what did you say? Have I a speech impediment, Bishop? You won't fight again. But sir, I have to fight. Paul had 44, I have 43. All I need is one more of the sons of Bishop. You've done very well. You'll receive the Victoria Cross, the Distinguished Service Order, the Military Cross. No Englishman has ever done that, Bishop. Not even Albert Ball, God rest his soul. Leave it at that. You've done England a great service. And you won't have to fly again. I would think you'd be very pleased, sir. You don't understand. I like it. Of course you like it. But that's hardly relevant, is it? You've become a figurehead. Yes, sir, I know. A dignitary. Oh, a colonial dignitary, Bishop. There is a difference. The problem with your colonial is that he has this morbid enthusiasm for life. Might call it a life wish. Now, what happens when your colonial hero gets killed? I'll tell you what happens. Colonial morale plummets. Despair is in the air. Fatalism raises its ugly head. But a live colonial hero, well, that's a different cup of tea. The men are inspired. They say, if he can do it and live, so can I. Do you get the picture, Bishop? I believe I do, sir. Very well. You shall depart 60 Squadron, never to return, on the morning of August 17th. That is all. Well, it gives me a week. A lot can be done in a week. The next 6 days, I shot down 5 more planes. I really was number one. But something happened that last week that made me happy to get out of it for a while. It's dusk. About 8 o'clock. I'm flying back to Fields Camp, very leisurely, because I figure this is my last bit of flying for a while. It's a nice, clear evening. You know, when it's nice and clear up here, it's very, very pretty. All of a sudden, I see this German Aviatik, 2-seater heading straight for me. I mean, it's a gift. I don't even need to think about this. I put the nose down into a dive and come up underneath him and just rake his belly with machine gun fire. Well, I don't know how they make these machines, but it just came apart right before my very eyes. I mean, the wings fell off. Bits of the fuselage just disintegrated. And the pilot and his gunner, they fall free. Now, I don't think I hit them, so they're alive. And I can't do anything to kill them or help them. All I can do is sit there and watch them fall, wide awake. It's awful. I know I've killed lots of them, but this is different. I watch as they go down, down, down. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It's like they're looking at me. So, when I leave for London the next morning, I'm pretty glad to be going after all. time the king is very excited. For this will be the first time he gives 3 medals to the same gentleman. And the king is also amused because this gentleman happens to be from the colonies. Therefore, the king may speak to you. If you are so honored, you shall respond to the king politely, using grammatically cogent sentences, with neither cloying sentimentality nor rude familiarity. You will speak to the king with dignity and restraint. Do you think you can do that, Bishop? Of course, the simple course might be that you keep your mouth shut. I arrive at Buckingham Palace late. It's very confusing. Bishop, we've been looking for you everywhere. The procedure is this: 10 steps to the front, turn, bow. Oh, Bishop, they've started already. You're just gonna have to wing it. Here comes the king with his retinue. Order of St. Michael, Order of St. George, and here's me. The king pins 3 medals on my jacket. And then he says,
Well, Bishop, you've been a busy bugger.
I'm not kidding. The king is here, and I'm here. I can't say a word. The king talks to me for 15 minutes. But after the balls and the parties, the photographers, the newspaper reporters, the lords and ladies, the champagne, the filet mignon, the 50-year-old brandy. And here's me, Billy Bishop from Owen Sound, Canada. And I know this is my day. There'll never be another day like it. I think this as we dance far into the night, as we dance to the music of the Empire Soiree. Civilizations come and go, don't you know? Dancing onto oblivion, the birth and death of nations, of civilizations can be viewed down the barrel of a gun. Nobody knows who calls the tune. It's been on the hit parade so many years. You and I must join the chorus like panthers before us, and like them we're going to disappear. You're all invited to the Empire Soiree. We'll see each other there, just wait and see, wait and see. Attendance is required at the Empire Soiree. We'll all dance the dance of history. Revolutions come and go, don't you know? New empires will take the other's place, take their place. A new song has begun. When someone points a gun in someone's face, da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da. Alexander and Julius had their dance, had the chance. Somebody said, may I cut in with a grin? All I can do is put on our dancing shoes and wait for the next one to begin. We're all invited to the Empire Soiree. We'll see each other there, just wait and see, wait and see. Attendance is required at the Empire Soiree. We'll all dance the dance of history. The foe, we would change the world, although how little we had traveled and how little did we know. Now the young will fight the foe, and we watch them as they go. Somehow it didn't seem like war at all, at all, at all. Somehow it didn't seem like war at all. Dearest Margaret, I think when you haven't been in a war for a while, comes as a bit of a surprise how much you miss it. That survival is merely a reprieve. There comes a time when you watch your children and other people's children go off to war. And you're standing there on the sidelines, cheering them on. The faithful Lethbridge will put me to bed. I haven't felt this good in weeks. Thinking of you constantly. I remain. You know, we didn't think there was going to be another war in 1918. Kind of makes you wonder what it was all for. But none of us are in charge of any of this, are we? But all I have to say is, it was a hell of a time. Oh, the bloody earth is littered with the fighters and the quitters. You can hear those soldiers yearning. Oh, if only I could fly. In the burning sun I'll sight you. In the burning sun I'll fight you. Oh, let us dance together in the sky. In the sky, in the sky, just you and I up there together, who knows why? One a hunter, one a hunted, a fight to live, a death confronted. Oh, let us dance together in the sky. Oh, let us dance together in the sky.